Donald Trump is back in the Oval Office. For some, it's a bold new chapter, while for others, it's a step back. But no matter where you stand, there's no denying the world is watching closely. Trump's return to power comes with big questions. What's he going to do next? What projects will he prioritize? And, most importantly, what will this mean for the future of the United States and the world? Let's dive into the key areas Trump might tackle and see where his agenda could take us. First up, let's talk about the economy. If there's one thing Trump loves, it's talking about economic growth and bringing jobs back to America. During his first term, he passed a massive tax reform, cutting corporate taxes to encourage investment and spur job creation. And now, he's likely coming back with even bigger plans. Imagine Trump doubling down on tax cuts for businesses and high-income earners, believing that this will get companies expanding, hiring, and fueling the economy. Of course, not everyone agrees with this approach. Critics argue that his tax policies mainly benefit the wealthy, and that the middle class might end up picking up the slack. But Trump has always seen himself as the guy who can deliver economic growth, so expect a lot of action on tax cuts, deregulation, and pro-business policies. Now, when it comes to energy, Trump's focus is clear: energy independence. During his previous term, he made it a point to support American oil, gas, and coal industries, often in the face of growing calls for renewable energy. So, we could see a return to expanded drilling, fracking, and rolling back environmental regulations. Trump believes this is key to making America self-sufficient and reducing reliance on foreign oil. But with the climate crisis becoming a more urgent conversation globally, this stance could create some serious tension. The United States might find itself at odds with countries pushing for green energy, and environmental advocates won't be quiet about it. Still, Trump's message has always been that energy independence equals economic security, so expect him to stand firm on that. And let's not forget immigration, a hot-button issue Trump's never been shy about. During his first term, we saw strict policies like the border wall, travel bans, and tighter asylum rules. With a second term, Trump's approach will likely be even tougher. He's all about strengthening the border, and we could see him push for more funding and stricter enforcement. Trump's stance has always been that a secure border is vital for America's safety and sovereignty. Supporters argue that this keeps the country safe and prevents illegal immigration, while critics argue it can be overly harsh and even harmful. But if there's one area where Trump's administration would act fast, it's on immigration. Then there's foreign policy. Trump's America First approach shook things up last time, often putting the U. Remember the trade war with China? We might be in for round two, as Trump is likely to take a hard line against China's growing global influence, especially in technology and trade. Tensions with China could escalate, with more tariffs and restrictions on Chinese companies operating in the U.S. And what about our allies? Trump has had a rocky relationship with NATO and some European countries, often criticizing them for not pulling their weight financially. This could strain old alliances even further, as Trump's focus remains on bilateral deals rather than global partnerships. In the Middle East, Trump will probably maintain close ties with Israel while reassessing USA's involvement elsewhere. His approach could lead to a more isolated America, one that's less about global cooperation and more about individual national interests. On social issues, particularly in education, Trump's stance is pretty straightforward. He's repeatedly criticized what he calls woke agendas in schools, from critical race theory to gender studies. So, don't be surprised if he pushes for legislation that restricts certain curricula in public schools, calling for a return to more traditional values. This could resonate with conservative voters who feel schools have moved away from core American principles. But, of course, this is bound to face resistance from educators, parents, and progressive groups who believe schools should teach a broad, inclusive curriculum. And when it comes to healthcare, Trump is likely to shake things up too. He's always had a complicated relationship with the Affordable Care Act, trying to dismantle it during his first term. If he tackles healthcare again, it could be with an approach focused on market-driven options. This means he'd probably look at ways to increase competition in healthcare, believing it would drive down costs. But healthcare reform is a tough sell, and Trump's plans could face serious pushback. One area where Trump would almost certainly leave his mark is the judiciary. In his first term, he appointed a record number of federal judges, including 3 Supreme Court justices. This was a major win for conservatives, and if he has another chance, he could push the judiciary even further in a conservative direction. Imagine the impact of another Trump-appointed Supreme Court justice. Decisions on everything from reproductive rights to gun laws could be swayed for decades to come. Supporters argue this is a way to keep the judiciary aligned with conservative values, while critics fear it could roll back certain social protections and freedoms. But for Trump, securing a conservative judiciary is a key legacy item, and he'd be ready to pursue it further. Let's not forget Trump's unique media approach either. His direct-to-supporter style of communication transformed how presidents interact with the public. Even though he's banned from major platforms like Twitter, he now has Truth Social, his own social media network. Expect him to use it to speak directly to his base, bypassing the traditional media outlets he often criticizes as biased. This unfiltered approach could mean even more polarization, with Trump's messages rallying his supporters and stirring controversy among opponents. But his base sees it as a refreshing form of transparency, a way to hear directly from their leader without media interference. Finally, Trump is reshaping the Republican Party itself. He's not just a political figure anymore, he's a movement. His influence within the party has sidelined many moderate Republicans, pushing the party further toward his America First ideals. Trump's vision centers around nationalism, conservative values, and an aggressive stance against opponents. For his loyalists, this shift is a necessary change to keep the party aligned with the needs of modern American voters. But others within the GOP worry that his influence is making the party less inclusive, possibly driving away independent or moderate voters. If Trump continues down this path, we might see the Republican Party transform in a way that could redefine American politics for years. So, what does Trump's return mean for the United States and the world? It means a renewed focus on economic independence, a tougher stance on immigration, a controversial energy policy, and a hard line in foreign relations. Trump's direct, often divisive style isn't going anywhere. He's here to leave a mark, whether it brings the country together or drives it further apart. And with each project, each policy, and each move, we're sure to see debates, reactions, and impacts that will shape the future of America in significant ways. Whether you support Trump or oppose him, there's one thing we can all agree on. His return to power won't be quiet. His agenda is poised to redefine America's path, setting the stage for a complex and unpredictable future. So, as the world watches closely, all we can do is buckle up and prepare for the ride. Because Trump's back, and he's got plans. That was it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.